Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Solo ReacTalk. This morning, I'm going to be reacting to a video requested by Adrian12375. It's called SCP-5031, Keter class. Let me just see the official title. It's SCP-5031, yet another murder monster, Keter Omnivorous SCP, made on the Volgun YouTube channel. If you guys want to check out my previous reaction to other SCP Foundation videos created by YouTubers, remember that the playlist card is going to be at the top right here for the reaction playlist. If you guys want to check out the original video as well as the Volgun's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. Yes, another Keter class. Yesterday it was SCP-5819, which was an uncontained Keter class, and hopefully this Keter class is contained. Hopefully. But yeah, let's start. 3, 2, 1, go.
Note: file under review. This document has been flagged for possible methodological issues. Please be aware that the following information is subject to change and may contain inaccuracies.
Item number SCP-5031. Object class.
Wow. Oh, okay. I think it has like six arms. Interesting. And it looks like the eyes are near the mouth. Interesting. Isn't that a bit concerning? Like, what if you're eating and then it affects your eyesight? What if you're drinking something liquid and it affects your eyesight? What if you're eating, something that's hard and you're trying to chew, but then whatever you're chewing also affects your eye sockets in some sort of way? But anyways, okay, interesting creature.
Keter. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-5031.
It has a tail with a swivel on it or something. Yeah, like a knife. Interesting.
1 is to be contained in an airtight iron cell in Biosite 59. The structure must be inspected for imperfections on a bi-weekly basis. No other interaction necessary. Description: SCP-5031 is a non-sapient quasi-humanoid creature of unknown origin. When directly observed, SCP-5031 will temporarily cease to exist until the viewer stops observing the space that SCP-5031 formerly occupied. Traces of its existence, for example scratch marks or blood trails, continue to exist when SCP-5031 does not. Video and photography devices do not capture SCP-5031's appearance. However, observing SCP-5031's shadow does not cause cessation of existence.
Wow. So you can't look directly at this creature, because if you do, it, ceases to exist. So even if you look from behind, it will still cease to exist. Just as long as you see it, it will cease to exist. So the only way that you're able to know that it's there is if you look at its shadow. Man, that's dangerous. that's really dangerous. Okay, so for instance, if it's going to attack you, your only defense is to look at it and then it poofs out of existence, and then you're able to walk back outside of the containment zone, and then it will reappear. Because if you turn your back on where it used to be, then it will reappear and then it will attack you. Okay. Yeah. If you need to escape, look at it, walking back to the exit of the containment field or area, and close the door, and then it will reappear, but it won't be able to attack you because you're gone by that time. Yeah. All right. Interesting. You can only see its shadow.
Allowing certain physiological traits to be inferred from its silhouette. Abnormally small head with no discernible neck. Elbows branch into 3 sets of lower arms each. Elongated torso approximately 1.9 meters in length, presumably for extra digestive capacity. Pelvis terminates in a crescent-shaped protrusion of osseous tissue with a blade-like lower edge. Levitates above the ground at a fixed height of 0.5 meters. While SCP-5031 has no nutritional needs, it will nevertheless hunt and consume any human or animal it encounters by using its pendulous lower body to down targets. SCP-50.
And that's why I'm saying the only way for you to survive is to look at it directly and then keep moving backwards until you're at a safe distance, until, it won't be able to catch up to you. So that when it reappears, you are long gone.
31 does not sleep and is incapable of expression or verbal communication. Addendum. As of 14/02/2018, Senior Researcher Stanley Huxtable is now acting in the role of HCL Supervisor for SCP-5031. The following is a selection of relevant correspondences from Senior Researcher Huxtable to Site Director Yusuf Mustofi elucidating research progress. 14/02/2018. Initial impressions. I have no idea who wrote this, but there's a lot I'd like to say to them. I'm not a fan of abandoning a living creature inside a metal box for 10 years, no matter.
Wow, 10 years. Why haven't we killed this thing? Or is it hard to kill? Because to me it seems like it's a threat. If it's able to attack us and consume us, it's a threat. It needs to be eliminated. Use whatever means necessary to kill it. Why are we keeping it in confined space for 10 years? What do we hope to gain from this thing? It has to go.
No matter how pragmatic it may be. It's difficult to fathom that such things were considered the norm a decade ago. Have you ever heard something scream from behind 10 inches of iron for hours on end? When I do my redraft, remind me to add anomalous resistance to hoarseness somewhere in the description.
10 inches of iron and you can still hear this thing scream? It has to go. It has to go. It has to go.
Could you work your magic and get the boys to retrofit the containment cube with an aperture and security vestibule? I'd like to run some tests that require exposing SCP-5031 to certain stimuli. 08/03/2018. Round 1 tests. Sound. Summary. Forward. Installed speakers in the containment vestibule and played various albums of natural ambience and popular music. SCP-5031's propensity for screaming worked as a convenient way to measure its stress levels. 100% would be considered its typical screaming. Volume and duration, over 48 hours, and 0% would be no screaming at all. Selection, Morning Forest Ambience. Stress level, 43%. Seaside Paradise Ambience, 48%. Deep Grotto Ambience, 62%. The Best of Mozart, 13%. The Best of Enya, 18%. The Best of Ben Folds, 6%. The Best of Jethro Tull, 59%. The Best of Kiss, 23%.
But I think we can clearly see that it likes classical music. It likes Mozart's music. 18%.
Afterward. Efficacy of music for stress reduction gradually decreases over time. I've assembled a playlist of SCP-5031's favorite music to play on shuffle in its enclosure in perpetuity. Stress levels consistently remain in the 15 to 25% range. Baseline adjusted accordingly.
Okay, this senior researcher is trying to understand this creature. While if I was in his position, I would be finding ways to kill it. I've already given up on this thing. But the senior researcher, thankfully, he's different from me. He wants to understand it. He wants to see if there's any sort of use for it. I've already seen it as a threat. It has to go. But yeah, thankfully the senior researcher is different.
2203-2018. Round 2 tests. Play. Summary. Test. Threw softball into enclosure. Result. SCP-5031 sliced the ball in two. Test. Tossed basketball into enclosure.
It cut it in two with the tail?
Result. SCP-5031 sliced the ball open. Test. Rolled bowling ball into enclosure. Result. SCP-5031 scratched a couple of grooves into the ball, then rolled the ball around the enclosure with the blunt end of its tail for 20 minutes. Stress levels remained less than 60% after play.
Okay, so it likes bowling balls.
Test. Rolled another bowling ball into the enclosure. Result. SCP-5031 used the blunt end of its tail to hit the balls together for a while. Stress levels remained less than 40% after play. Test. Bowling ball chipped and would no longer roll properly. Unplanned. Result. Stress levels increased to around 115%. Test. Replacement bowling ball provided. Result. Stress levels fell back to around 40%. Test. Tossed basketball into enclosure. Result. SCP-5031 picked up and played with the ball. Stress levels remained less than 20% after play.
Yeah, it's animal cognition, if I can say that. Or it's sentient cognition. Is not just one of an animal, hunter-prey type of mentality. It has its wants, it has its needs, and if it doesn't get those things, it responds with emotions, with stress, and, it uses, well, not necessarily violence against others. We haven't seen anyone get inside this facility, inside the containment zone, or any other form of other living being, but what we can tell is that it does have some sort of emotions, it does have its own needs and wants, and it expresses itself if it does not get what it wants. All right, so it's not just a beast that consumes and that attacks on sight. Okay.
Afterward, SCP-5031 began to use its hands to play with the basketball, possibly to avoid accidentally damaging it. Motor skill comparable to that of a toddler, SCP-5031 still prefers bowling ball for kicking. 0504-2018. Round 3 tests. Food. Summary. Forward. SCP-5031 was given the choice between two potential food sources placed at opposite ends of the enclosure. Choices: human corpse or pig carcass. Selection: pig carcass. Choices: pig carcass or chicken carcass. Selection: pig carcass. Choices: pig carcass or rotisserie chicken. Selection: rotisserie chicken. Choices: chicken carcass or rotisserie chicken. Selection: rotisserie chicken.
Oh, okay, you like rotisserie chicken.
Choices: live chicken or rotisserie chicken.
Rotisserie chicken.
Selection: rotisserie chicken. Choices: roasted turkey or rotisserie chicken.
Rotisserie chicken.
Selection: neither, presumed sated. Afterward, while it's true that SCP-5031 doesn't necessarily need to eat, feeding it regularly has caused a marked decrease in average stress levels. Stress reduction seems to scale proportionally with the quality of food provided. Also of note is that SCP-5031 prefers to use its tail to pry and cut meat into bite-sized portions rather than rip the meat into chunks with its teeth or hands.
Okay. Yeah, at least it understands how to use its body as an extension of its self, feeding itself. It uses the tail to cut up its food into pieces, and then it's able to use its hands to eat. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, like even some animals on planet Earth, they also use tools to get their food and to eat. When you think about some aquatic creatures, they use rocks to break open some sea crustacean shells. And then you also think about animals that eat insects like termites and ants. They use sticks that they slather with their saliva, or little grass weeds or something like that. They just put the saliva on it, and then they poke at termite hills or at ant hills or any form of insect hideout, just to try and collect those insects, and then they eat the insects. So yes, there are some animals that also use tools to get their food, and it seems like SCP-5031 uses his tail as a form of utensil to cut up his food, and then he can properly eat it and not just put his face in it and just consume.
12/04/2018. Round 4 tests. Coexistence. Summary. Test 1. SCP-5031 fed until sated. Live subject common chicken introduced to enclosure. Result. SCP-5031 observed subject from a distance for several minutes and then rolled a bowling ball towards subject at high speed. Subject was killed instantly. SCP-5031's stress levels rose immediately and drastically.
Wow.
Test 2. Bowling balls removed from enclosure. SCP-5031 fed until sated. Live subject, common chicken, introduced to enclosure. Result. SCP-5031 gently rolled a basketball towards subject.
But he understands what he did before, killed the chicken. And now he's correcting that, or SCP-5031 is correcting that by making sure that it, throws the ball at a far slower rate so that it does not hurt this new, test subject inside the containment field. It's learning. You throw too hard, they die. You throw slow enough, maybe they might not die.
Ball hit subject lightly. Subject responded with a small cry and moved away. SCP-5031 did not engage with subject any further. Test 3. SCP-5031 fed until sated. Live subject, Class D, blindfolded, introduced to the enclosure, and instructed to sit and roll basketball forward.
Oh, Class D. Good luck.
Then wait until it came back and roll away again. Result. Subject and SCP-5031 successfully rolled the ball back and forth for several minutes. SCP-5031 eventually abandoned the activity and approached the subject. Per safety protocol, subject removed their blindfold to terminate the activity.
Oh, good. Good. Wait a minute. Okay, yes, with the D class, he had a blindfold on him, right? But now the chickens, did they have blindfolds on them? Because a chicken has eyes, a chicken can see SCP-5031. Did 5031 also just poof out of existence as soon as the chickens saw, SCP-5031? Or does that only happen when a human being or another being of higher intelligence is able to see SCP-5031? I'm just wondering about that. Did the chickens also have blindfolds? Or was it just the D-class?
Test 4. SCP-5031 fed until sated. Live subject, Class D, introduced to the enclosure and instructed to toss a tennis ball at the wall. Let it ricochet behind them, then catch and repeat. Result. SCP-5031 stood behind subject and successfully engaged in a game of catch, mimicking subject's action of letting ball ricochet against the wall. Afterward, SCP-5031's motor skills appear to be rapidly improving. 16/05/2018. Round 5 tests. Symbols. Summary. Forward. 5 LCD displays were fitted into the wall of SCP-5031's enclosure, each with a lit button and a food dispenser underneath. Test 1. 2 stations activated. Screen 1 displayed the image of a rock. Its button dispensed rocks. Screen 2 displayed the image of a rotisserie chicken. Its button dispensed pieces of chicken. Result: SCP-5031 poked at the image of the chicken for a few minutes and eventually hit the button. Chicken was dispensed until SCP-5031 was satisfied. Test 2. Screen displays and the materials dispensed were swapped. Result: SCP-5031 hit the button it had hit the previous day and received a rock. It then went to the other screen and hit the button to dispense chicken. Test 3. Screen displays and materials dispensed were swapped back to their original positions and set to swap again at random intervals after the first distribution. Result: SCP-5031 went directly to the button next to the image of the chicken, experienced apparent confusion after the first mid-distribution swap, but quickly learned to watch the images. Test 4. 3 more stations, screens, buttons, dispensers were activated. 4 stations displayed the word rock and dispensed rocks. 1 station displayed the word chicken and dispensed chicken. Arrangements set to change randomly several times over the following days. Result: through trial and error, SCP-5031 determined which station dispensed chicken. SCP-5031 subsequently went to the station marked chicken whenever the displays were swapped. Test 5. All stations deactivated except 1. Screen displayed the word chicken. 7 wood blocks were set in front of the station, each marked with one of the letters in the word chicken. The station's button was set to remain unlit and inactive until the blocks were arranged in the correct order. Result: SCP-5031 expressed apparent frustration, hitting the inactive button repeatedly and striking the wall with its tail. Test 6. Same as previous test, but screen displayed the word chicken with each letter overlaid on a photo of a wood block. Result: after 12 minutes, SCP-5031 successfully assembled the word chicken.
This is amazing. The way it's learning and adapting to its situation, or a situation that is before it, is quite scary, but it's also really amazing to witness. Yeah, it's just reminding me of the type of experiments that scientists do with chimpanzees and other primates, just to test out their intelligence or their cognitive abilities, as an animal compared to us as human beings. And they're kind of doing the same thing here with SCP-5031, where they're just trying to test out the limits of its understandings on what images are, how do you connect the images to the words, how the words connect to the images, and how you can solve a problem by thinking about it, by understanding the issue, instead of just becoming frustrated and giving up. And yeah, really, it is learning very fast. Very fast.
Afterward, it can learn language, Yusuf. 29/08/2018. Round 6 tests. Vocabulary. Results. Forward, SCP-5031 has learned to use letter blocks to form the following words. Foods: chicken, turkey, pork, tofu, beef, bread, more salt, more pepper, more cooked.
Definitely, it's now going far beyond any primate on Earth. It is going far beyond. The fact that it's now able to formulate words, sooner or later it's going to formulate sentences. Sentences. And it's going to talk to us.
Music: Mozart, Enya, Ben Folds, Forest, Seaside, White Noise, More Volume, Less Volume, and Silence. Play: basketball, bowling ball, tennis ball, cat, dog, human, Robert, D52125, Stanley, and alone. Afterward, through its increased vocabulary and human interaction, SCP-5031 has made the following progress: established food preferences and dish pairings, learned to sing non-verbally, and learned to juggle. Six-handed juggling is something to behold. 05-10-2018 Round 7 Tests. Activities. Summary. Test 1. Introduced table, paper, and crayons into the enclosure. Live subject D52125 instructed to demonstrate drawing for SCP-5031. Result: SCP-5031 learned to draw. Discernible subjects depicted in its artwork include D52125, SCP-5031, a rotisserie chicken, a cat, and myself. Test 2. Introduced piano to the enclosure. Live subject D52125 instructed to play chopsticks blindfolded and invite SCP-5031 to play along. Subject had time to practice beforehand. Result: SCP-5031 learned chopsticks in 2 days, though it appeared more interested in making its own original music complete with vocals.
Wow. It is really going into places I don't think I'm ready for. The fact that it's able to create its own music and its own tunes with the piano. I think we should be careful. I really think we should be careful. We don't want this thing to know too much and understand too much, because it might formulate a plan to try and escape from this place.
These compositions might be considered crude by human standards. Test 3. Introduced spice rack into the enclosure. Live subject D52125 instructed to demonstrate seasoning meats. Result: SCP-5031 spent almost 3 straight days experimenting with different combinations of foods and spices. SCP-5031 assembled the words "more, more, more" with its letter blocks after running out of garlic powder. Afterward, SCP-5003 only engages with art and music when accompanied by D52125, but it continues to be preoccupied with food preparation even when alone. 04-01-2019 Round 8 Tests. Cooking. Results. Forward. Basic kitchen utilities installed in enclosure. Sharp implements withheld per security protocol. SCP-5031 used its tail to cut food. Live subject D52125 instructed to demonstrate preparation of various recipes. Recipes learned: quesadilla, taco, hamburger, fried rice, Mongolian beef, spicy chicken curry, chocolate chip cookies, sponge cake with buttercream, fudge, clam chowder, steak, macaroons, chicken abodo, smoked salmon, and profiteroles. Afterward, SCP-5031 has a severe peanut allergy. This should be included in the revised containment procedures.
Oh yes, that is very important information right there. Okay, you're allergic to peanuts.
I would also like to note that SCP-5031 is now a better chef than the average human. It has begun to create its own recipes. D52125 has volunteered to taste test. 30-06-2019 Update. SCP-5031 has said its first word. Salt. We are all immensely proud.
Yeah, me too, I guess.
29-11-2019 Final Test. Summary. SCP-5031 was given 2 months to develop a 3-course meal to serve at the Biosite-59 cafeteria for personnel working over Thanksgiving. Its selections were as follows. First course: sweet potato turmeric miso soup. Second course: duck confit with apple cider glaze and cranberry compote topping paired with butternut squash gnocchi on a bed of kale seasoned with truffle salt. Third course: a slice of spiced cassava pie topped with French vanilla ice cream and maple hazelnut syrup.
Wow, I think I'd want to try that.
SCP-5031 also debuted its original composition, Piano Sonata for 6 Hands, in a live performance broadcast from its enclosure. Personnel response was overwhelmingly positive. SCP-5031 stress levels at 0%. Testing successfully concluded.
I think we should revise its class from Keter to safe. Not ignorant, but safe. I think SCP-5031 is simply misunderstood by me and by many others. It was misunderstood, and that's why it was contained in that 10-inch iron containment field. But really, I think this senior researcher did a marvelous job here in understanding SCP-5031. I think it should be reclassified to safe. Now that we know that it has sentience, it has cognition, it has its own needs and desires, its understandings, its fears, its joyfulness, its enjoyment in terms of what it can do and how it can do it, and the fact that it can also formulate its own ideas on what it wants to create. It has its own purpose now. No longer is it just contained in a box and it's just screaming out at the void, essentially. Now it has a purpose. Now it has a reason to enjoy its existence. So I don't think this is a threat anymore to humanity. I don't think so. I think it is a safe SCP that can just be busy with its work, whether it's cooking or whether it's making music. I think it'd be content with that. And I don't see it as a threat. I did in the beginning. I wanted it dead.
Documentation submitted for approval. This concludes today's lecture. Thank you for listening, if indeed you still are, and you are all dismissed. Goodbye. I would like to give a special thank you to Ian J. Alsop, Zargaran, Professor Puffer, The Morrigan, Ritalius, Karim El Ashmoui, Savanity, Christoph Kozak Slezak, HMS Lily, The Almighty Fish, Gav the Clumsy Containment Specialist, Spooky Aqua, Pure Osmium, Sio Dio Damnatus, Brian Sanchez, Matthew Gilmore, Drew Peacock, Eric Corbidge, Longinus, James Saba, and NJ Vojak. If you would like a special thank you at the end of each of my videos, and some other cool stuff as well, visit patreon.com/thevolgun. Thank you.
Look at the SCP-5031 with chef's head. Yeah, nice. Alright guys, that is it. That is it with SCP-5031, yet another murder monster, Keter Omnivorous SCP, made on the Volgun YouTube channel. Yes, clearly SCP-5031 was misunderstood. and I am lacking the patience to understand it. I saw it as a threat from the get-go. The fact that it has a blade tail, it has 6 arms, it has multiple eyes on both sides, it has a row of, teeth. It could just devour anyone, this creature. And the fact that you could not look at it directly to face up against it, should it ever try to attack you, because it would just cease to exist, is also a very difficult situation to deal with. Because, like I said before, if it tries to attack you, your only defense is to look at it. It poofs out of existence, and then you have to keep in that, eye contact with where it used to be. If you don't look at that place where it used to be, then it will reappear and it will continue its attack on you. So yeah, it's difficult to try to apprehend or restrain or even kill this thing if you're just a normal human being. You would need extra type of machinery or technology to take it down. And really, I just saw this thing as a threat. I just thought it was just a monster that is just too dangerous to be kept in an SCP Foundation facility. It needs to be exterminated. That's how I saw it. But thanks to the senior researcher who was involved in trying to understand this SCP, we finally got to get to understand it a lot more in terms of what it wants, how it wants it, what it enjoys, what it doesn't enjoy, and it also developed its own skills, through the help and guidance of the SCP Foundation. It was able to cook, it was able to create its own music, it's able to talk, it's able to formulate sentences or words, and it has already begun to create its own identity, its own consciousness in terms of what it wants to do with its life. And it enjoys cooking, it enjoys making music. And from all of that research, after all of those experiments, we have a interdimensional creature that has found its peace, and we have found a way to keep ourselves secure from having to fight against something like this. And also, we know that it's allergic to peanut butter or peanuts. So that might be a potential safeguard measure should anything happen. But I don't think anything will happen. I think this SCP has proven itself to be reclassified from a Keter to a safe SCP, I think. Yeah, as long as it continues to do as it pleases in terms of what it enjoys, its hobbies, like cooking and making music, I honestly, I don't see why we should keep it as a Keter class SCP, because it's not to any threat to any of us human beings anymore. Now that it understands what it likes to eat and it can make it itself, we are out of the equation now. As human beings, we are out of the equation. So I think we should reclassify it as a safe. Yeah. But this was a happy ending. This SCP had a happy ending. Usually with SCPs, I don't get happy endings. It's either I'm confused or I'm still sad or angry about this SCP. The fact that we cannot contain it, or we cannot kill it, or we cannot stop it. But at least with this SCP, a solution was devised, a solution was found, and it has been executed beautifully, and now we have a safe SCP. So it's a happy ending. And that's good. That's very, very good. Yeah, this was nice. Thank you, Adrian12375, for the request. Thank you also to the Volgun for compiling this information on this SCP and also presenting it to us. The image of SCP-5031 was very terrifying. The 6 arms all connected at one joint. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. And then, of course, it's got that tail at the back with the blade. And it's got, as I've said before, the eyes and the teeth. It just looks like a very scary monster. But a monster that I did not understand. A monster that I did not want to understand in the beginning. I did not have patience. But others see it differently, and they've succeeded. And really, I think this is what the SCP Foundation should be always about. You know, either, yes, we find a usefulness of this SCP, or we try to understand the SCP, or we try to eliminate the SCP. And this is all for the betterment of humanity. That's how it should always be. Yeah. This was nice. Alright, guys, that's it. Remember, if you want to check out the original video as well as the Volgun's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. If you like my reaction, please give me a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Click on the notification bell if you want to be up to date with my latest videos. And I'll see you guys hopefully next week. Okay? Bye-bye.